Since I was a kid, but and I majored in art in college and in high school, but my mother always said, get a real job, because if you try to be an artist, you start in the garret. So I got a real job. For 30 years I was a librarian, but I also always had art things. I was on the Arts Council for about 12 to 16 years, I can't remember exactly, but it was a long time. I was on the Roanoke Arts Commission, which does public art, for about 6 years, so I kept in touch with all that. And for 30 years I worked for public radio as their arts reporter, so I was always interviewing people in the performing arts, people in the visual arts. I'd go to art shows and talk about it on the radio. I went to the Sidewalk Art Show every year and reported on it for public radio. So I was always in touch with artists, find out what they were doing, but I always wanted to be one instead of just talking about them. So 2 years ago, I retired and became a full-time artist. I've been a full-time artist ever since. And a year ago, I got the good fortune to be accepted into the best gallery in Roanoke, this one. Woo! Yay! My style is pretty much impressionistic, because that's the kind of art I really like, is impressionistic art. And it's colorful because I like bright colors, and I'm very influenced by people like Van Gogh and the other Impressionists, but also I like the storytelling of people like Edward Hopper, and I was introduced to Eric Fischel by Ann Glover, who's just about my mentor, I think, and a good friend, and she's influenced me quite a bit also. So I like the storytelling aspect of things. I like the colorful and a lot of movement in my art. So that that's what I try to do with art. I like the storytelling and atmosphere, but I'm still working on that. I'm trying to get that part a little better. My subject matter, it's not something I really thought about particularly, but I kind of noticed when I was getting ready to give this talk that it falls into basically two categories: people and places. Not so much things, not still lifes and things like that, but people and places. And I love to travel. I travel as much as I can, and I love, when I come back from some places, I'm very much compelled to paint them. Now, this is not everywhere, which is kind of interesting. I was thinking about that. And for example, when I went to Ireland, which was a beautiful country, I loved it, came back, and I really had no desire to paint anything from Ireland. But I went to Scotland, and the minute I set foot in the northern Scotland, the minute I got back, I was painting Scotland like crazy. So, and I've noticed that with other places. Some places just really speak to me, and I think by painting them, it keeps them closer. It's like I'm still there. I can still feel the place around me when I'm painting it. And part of it may be also just trying to figure out what it is about that particular place that makes me so attracted to it. So I do places, and if you'll see, you can kind of tell all the things I talked about. These are Thailand. This is Bangkok. You can tell it's more commercial because it's got some signs and everything, a lot of color. And they are colorful because people usually have their laundry hanging out. The thing about Thailand that really interested me was so many people live on the river. And I don't mean next to the river, I mean they're in the river. And these buildings, these houses are all actually built on the river. They float in the river, and there have been some flooding, so some of them were actually under the river. This is also Bangkok, another set of houses along the river with, I think that's like a sheet that was hanging there, and you can kind of see the colorful things, flags, and a little bit of an awning. But it was very colorful, which was just worked perfectly for what I like to paint. This is also in Bangkok. We had just left a cooking class, a Thai cooking class, and we're going down the canal in a longboat, and this was the longboat in front of us, and we were in another longboat behind it going down the canal. These two are also on rivers in Thailand, but not Bangkok, and you can kind of tell it's more rural. These are a little more, they're spread out with it, they're not quite as much on top of each other, but again, they've got all the colorful, the clothes hanging there, the stuff on the line, lots of color, and lots of atmosphere. I also have two paintings over here. Another place I really like, which is Belize. I really like Belize, and these are two paintings of San Ignacio, which is a town kind of on the near the Guatemala border. And I really like Belize a lot. For some reason, again, I'm not sure why, it's the dusty little village right in the jungle right next to Guatemala that it speaks to me. The other thing I paint a lot is people, and not quite as many in this show, but I usually have a lot of paintings of people. And what I do is I skulk around with a camera, and especially when I was taking classes down here at night, I would leave the gallery, and I would skulk around and take pictures of people that were sitting at the cafes and restaurants and things like that. Even to take pictures through the windows, sometimes of people inside restaurants and in the store windows and all that. So. Then I would either paint them as they appeared, if that was a good composition, or I would also pick a picture from here and put them over here. And so I combined different things to make the picture what I wanted it to be. But I sort of had these models they didn't know they were models. And there's some examples of this. This is St. Patrick's Day, right down over on Jefferson. And I was watching the kids dance, and all of a sudden the stilt walkers walked in. And this one is Nikki, and this is Beth Deal. And they were painted up, their faces were painted. They were bright outfits on. They had these stilts, they had poles that were hanging onto. It was just, I mean, how often you go to someplace and see a couple of stilt walkers walking? So, I mean, how could you resist that? So I added some people. They didn't have like these. I had several pictures, so I kind of moved people around and put them where I wanted them in that painting. And this is similar. This is the Marginal Arts Parade, which is down here on Salem Avenue, on Campbell, back in the spring. And I really I like the people that were like butterflies. They had these butterfly costumes on. So I wanted to get the butterfly people. And then there were all these other characters, so I pulled a few characters from here, from there, but they were all people that were actually in the Marginal Arts Parade, and put them there. The other two, the gypsies on the end and the Cirque du Soleil people here, are kind of imaginary. I didn't really have a whole lot to go on with these. I had one photo, I had a picture of the girl that's in the green, and then I kind of added the other people from all kinds of places. And the gypsies are the same way. I had like a picture of one gypsy, and I added other gypsies to make the picture work and the colors work. And then I put an example of this. I don't have this painting anymore, but this is, if I can't find people already in the positions I want them in, I drag my friends and neighbors. And if you haven't already been in a painting, Chris will know she's in one. You may be in one eventually. But if you can see, this is Phil pretending like he's holding a hoop. And this is Phil pretending to juggle. This is my next door neighbor, Rachel, with her umbrella in the front yard of her house. And this is what the painting turned out to be. A juggler, a clown with a hoop, and a tightrope walker with an umbrella. So I just had this image in my head, and I wanted to paint it, but I can't really paint stuff totally out of my head. I had to have something to go on. So my neighbors are kind of used to this, you know. I go, can Rachel come out and pose for me? Can Joey come out and sit on the porch? Yeah, Joey, sit right there. Sit like that. Yeah, no, move your arms. So this is what I do to my neighbors and friends. So I may be asking you one of these days, oh, can you come over and just sit on my porch, and then you'll know what's up. And I think that's all I have to tell you about myself and my art. But if you have any questions, I can answer them. All right. Well, thanks everybody.